everyone. Welcome to the planBIM Knowledge Series, Webinar 2. We shall wait for the other attendees for a couple of minutes and then start with the presentation. Great. So the attendees have joined and we are happy to see the turn up. Today's topic is Masterclass on Scope Management in BIM projects, where we'll be focusing on the importance of scope management, the challenges in BIM projects, and how planBIM helps to overcome all these challenges and collaborate or manage the scope of works better. To start with, we will do a quick audio test to confirm that you can hear me clearly. For that, on the bar menu left hand, you will see a raise hand option. Click on it and I can see the raised hands and confirm that you all can hear me really well. Great, I see a lot of hands here. That's great that you can hear me. Moving forward, if you have any questions, we will be taking the questions by the end of the webinar. So meanwhile, if you have any questions, you can put it in the Q&A section. Don't worry, these all would be anonymous or wouldn't be seen by other attendees and will only be seen to us. And we will be taking up all the questions by the end. If not, due to time restrictions, you will be getting the answers through mails. So feel free to ask any questions that you have during the webinar or by the end. Polls, we will be taking the polls by the end. We will be having a short poll where you can pitch in your words and the output will be seen by the end or again be emailed to you for results. Wait for it. It would be by the end. You will have a pop-up on the screen so that you can post in your words. So starting with introduction about the speakers. For today's presentation, we have two speakers, starting with one of being me. Hello everyone, my name is Priya. I'm the Regional Manager of Texture Singapore. I've been working with Texture since 4 years and I have worked on a lot of projects and helped implement BIM and help in standardization of the projects, managing teams, training teams, and develop standards across the organization. Talking about planBIM, I have played a major role in developing the technical content and also I'm playing a part as a lead of growth and marketing in planBIM. And with me, I have Saurabh. Saurabh is a BIM engineer at Texture. He is also a product expert of planBIM. He's taking care of all the customer experiences, identifying the gaps and generating new ideas for the development team. And he has played a major role in developing the technical content of planBIM as well, being an engineer background. Saurabh would be taking in some aspects or some presentation parts and will be here. Coming to the agenda for today's webinar, introduction that we have already said, we will be looking towards importance of defining scope of a project. Then moving forward, after understanding these importance, we would see what are the challenges in the BIM industry related to the scope definitions and how it hampers the project quality. Then we'll be taking up what is planBIM. It is just a brief about the product. Why was it created? Then we will be looking in detail for the scope management in planBIM, how scope is managed on planBIM and how it solves different gaps within BIM environment. And finally, we'll be taking the Q&A session. Importance of defining a scope of a project. After every project initiation or kick-off, we start by providing a scope of works documentation within BEPs or within different documents. We also provide documentation for EIR. So there are different documents involved before the actual starts of work of a BIM project. So, where the scope of work stands, it is with regards to time, resources, and quality, and scope of work plays a major role to manage all of these together. With respect to time, so if there is a right scope of work in place, you can reduce the amount of time you waste on building extra details on the models, or you can reduce the resources and be working on with the correct amount of resources required on the project, and also manage the quality of the model. So as you see on the screen, scope of works plays a major role between these dimensions: time, resources, and quality of a project. And to manage well, we need to take care of scope of work first. The importance of scope of work, starting with goals. You defined a goals at the starting phase of the project for BIM adaptation in the project by defining the value of BIM adaptation. Moving forward, after we know why is being adopted, we also identify different modeling uses to achieve these desired goals. So let's say BIM implementation is one goal, and model uses could be for coordination, 4D simulation, that could be for modeling. So there are multiple model uses, but the final goal is to implement BIM and help construction industry or the project benefit from BIM, right? Moving forward, we have processes. So once we have defined the model uses to achieve the desired goal, we need to define process for integrating these model uses. By integrating, I mean the different processes that need to be followed for integrating BIM implementation for a 4D simulation or just modeling, 3D modeling purposes or coordination. Then we need to define information exchange, define the content for each information exchange through CDE, what file formats are being exchanged, what are the versions that are being used by different consultants, and how will they be exchanged at a CDE. Talking about which, we have the last there, infrastructure, for identifying project infrastructure that needs to be supported in BIM process. So especially during the pandemic, where all the teams are sitting at different locations within the globe, we have to take care of infrastructure at a priority, where we set a common data environment and collaborate with ease and have access to all information related to the project, be it models, drawings, or documents, right? In earlier, it was easier because we were sitting within our teams who were working together on a project. But now that everyone's sitting at their own places, we need to take in care of the infrastructure as well. So importance of scope of works starts from providing goals. So we provide goals, which is a broader picture, but it is split down into these components. So scope work definitions: establish project-based scope for EIR. We need to have target model uses, like I mentioned, for sustainability analysis, design validation, etc. Establishing modeling standards for LOD, LOI, and also establishing the communication protocols, where the team would be collaborating for communications, where they would be accessing the different standards so as to the standards related to file nomenclature or components nomenclature, annotation standards, and throughout the phases of the project. Identifying software solution, identifying at what stage of project which software will come into play and help the project be used. And the same model, so let's say a 3D model is being created in Revit, but for clash detection we use Navisworks in major cases to detect these clashes. So we need to see at what stage of projects what solutions would be required, and we agree on model review and data verification processes to ensure that the model quality is on point at every stage. This could be done by having review meetings, or rather than that, I would say if you have a approach where you can see the model quality required on the project with all the standards requirements and the team working on it, you will be able to manage the BIM processes better. And for all of these things that needs to be taken into consideration, it needs to be documented for everyone on the team to go through, for processes, protocols, and standardization, and access to be given for everyone on the team. And also, the important part is providing access should be in regards to ISO, where you have shared workspaces and you can manage access throughout the teams for a project manager or even a modeler, and restrain or provide them access to certain documents. When we know the importance of scope of work within a project, how major important role it plays during the project life cycle and how it is defined, we would see the different challenges in defining the scope of project. The project standardization process starts with initiation, where you provide project information, BIM requirements for BEPs, established a content library, project teams and roles. So there needs to be a standardized process there, and wherever the quality is not met or the management is not met at correct qualities again, then the assessment goes to failure. So the challenges is when this diagram that you see does not go through a seamless flow and there is no assessment at every level, there is issues, and these are the challenges we face in scope of works. So defining the scope of work for even templates, libraries, modeling standards, collaborations, and document procedure, there needs to be a quality check procedure, and if any of one element that fails here, it is a major challenge in defining of scope of works or even managing it. Challenges faced during scope of work, scope management. Requirements constantly change, so we should have a cloud-based or a interactive requirement schedule that needs to be changed, and these changes should be visible to all the team again. Requirements that need a rethink mid projects. So we cannot manage or think of the future already, and even if we have defined a certain standard at the starting stage of a project, by the middle we still need to rethink if there are certain changes that need to take place, right? And then final outcome is not being what client expected. So the major problem I would say is the communication of deliverables or the quality of deliverables required by the client. Often it happens that we are referring to any document or there are scope of work in place where a client has asked you to put in a LOD 300 project, but then comes and says that this is less detailed or more detailed, and you and your team have wasted a lot of time on detailing those parts, and maybe that was not required by the client, or it could be the other way around where the client expects more details, but according to the standards, you feel that a model should not be adhering to those details. So to have everyone on board at one expectation is a major challenge, which reduces redundant work. So redundant work is another challenge. Budget overrunning. If the scope of work is not defined at the initial stage and approved by every person, and also at the mid stage, if it's not communicated, then there are 100% chances of budget overrunning and the project schedule being way behind the construction. So it is about both the virtual construction and the actual construction on site. Communication gap between teams. Generally, we have a document controller at place documenting BEPs, EIRs, and whenever there are updates in versions of BEPs, it is not often communicated to the whole team, or they do not go through all these pages and look at what has been changed, or there is no version tracking or updates. So that is where a communication gap happens, and that is a major challenge in scope of work, because at every stage of project there would be versioning, there would be changes where actions need to be taken care of, and there should be given vital importance, I would say. Incomplete information about the stakeholders. When we are working on a BIM project, there is an involvement of different stakeholders working across different disciplines and collaborating on the same project, where it is needed for one team to collaborate with other with regards to information or scope of works, and the line of concepts or the model that needs to be created needs to be set exactly. So this is the challenge, I would say. So once we have seen all the challenges of scope of work and importance of scope of work, we'll have a look through what planBIM is and why was it created by us. And I was asked Saurabh to take it forward and give you, as him being a product expert, will give you a brief about our product, and then by using the modules that he would be suggesting, we will take this forward to how we will manage the scope of works better via planBIM. Okay, Saurabh, ahead to you.
Thank you, Priya. So I'll be talking about what planBIM is and why we have created it. So planBIM is essentially a cloud-based BIM management platform that can be accessed on all your devices. So you can access planBIM from the web browser and as well as from your smartphones. So we have dedicated application on the Android and iOS platforms too. You can also integrate planBIM with desktop applications like Revit. So you can download the planBIM plugin from the Autodesk App Store. So once you have the plugin in place, you can access planBIM directly through the Revit environment. You can also integrate planBIM with cloud applications like BIM 360 and Google Drive. Now we've developed planBIM in such a way that it is fully customizable to specific project and company standards. And planBIM supports OpenBIM standards like IFC and more. Now, planBIM has been developed keeping in mind the upcoming trends in BIM. So, we've developed it with the aspect of common data environment as per the ISO 19650, and this helps you to achieve BIM level 2 and level 3 workflows in your organization. planBIM can also complement and augment your existing project management tools and help you to achieve organization-wide BIM compliance. So using planBIM, you can not just implement or manage BIM on a certain project, but all the projects your company is working on. And planBIM also has a fully featured administrative tool for access control and user management. Now, essentially, planBIM can be termed as the next generation platform for BIM management. So any project within planBIM can be divided into 5 major parts, and we have also developed 5 modules for this. So the first module we have is the Scoper module, and this is the focus for today's webinar. So using the Scoper module, you can do the scope management for your BIM projects. You can create the development matrix and also assign roles and responsibilities to different people who are there in the project. You also have an option where you can invite various stakeholders or the various contractors or subcontractors that are working on the same project into your workspace, and they can also be given access to planBIM. And using this module, you can also define the various level of developments, or the level of information, or the level of accuracy that has to go into a particular model, and things related to it. So the scopo module takes care of the scope management side of a project. Next we have is the docs module that is used for document management of your project. So docs module is a fully fledged online documentation tool that has been specially tailored for the construction domain. Using the docs module, you can manage documents such as the BIM execution plans or exchange information requirements, etc., that is related to your project. You can also edit as well as manage these on cloud. So that is the functionality of the docs module. Now going to the next module we have is the files management module. So using this you can manage, store, organize and even share the various files that your team is working on within the team, or to the various stakeholders that are there on your project. So this is used for the files management. Another added feature with the files module is that you can view BIM files on cloud. So if you do not have a software to view a file of a certain format, you can do that using planBIM on cloud. So these are the features of the files management module. Next we have is the content management or content standardization module. So using this you can organize and manage the various content your company has. So for example, your company might have certain Revit families that are being used in all the projects, or certain AutoCAD blocks that the company uses, and even the libraries the company has. So all this can be managed and organized in the content module. The last module we have is the tracking and coordination module. So using this you can track the various day-to-day tasks and things related to it. You can also track the RFAs and RFIs related to your project. So this is all about the 5 modules that planBIM offers. And now Priya will be taking you more in detail about the Scopo module and how it can be used for scope management of your project. So I request Priya to take over the presentation.
Thank you, Saurabh, for giving us a brief about our product and why was it created. We look forward now to scope management via planBIM. The scope module, like Saurabh mentioned, is responsible for defining scope within planBIM. You can define scope for elements with tagging them by smart tags for LOD, LOI, LOA, tagging the team or the company responsible for managing or creating each. LOI can further be expanded to the different parameters that you want to be incorporated within the element. You can also provide scope of work for different phases of the project using planBIM. It gives you a representation of over 500 to 600 BIM components used in the industry with a 3D view where you can zoom into the details to understand the output required by the client. And finally, you can generate reports once you have defined scope of work in planBIM to provide it or include it in the PEP. The Scopo overview consists of 6 major sections, one of it being quick links. These help you take to the respected pages for LOD matrix, model progression matrix, and reports, which we'll be covering individually in our future webinars. The other settings include classification settings for elements, LOD settings. We currently have 2 LOD settings, and settings for unit of the project. The classification settings can be done in two manners, namely generic and omni class. The generic classification has been defined by the planBIM team, where we have classified the elements for their disciplines and subdivided them into categories and subcategories. The omni-class classification has been taken from table number 21 of omni-class categorization, which refers to the element classifications. And you can see the second image, which shows how you will change the UI of planBIM once you select a setting to be omni-class or generic that you see on the above. LOD settings, we currently have 2 settings, but the popular LOD concepts have been mentioned. The images define the development of each model at different phases of the project at different LOD, starting from the conceptualized phase to a LOD 400 phase, where LOD 500 is with respect to information. Scoper overview also allows you to provide roles and scope of work of each company involved in the project. The example here you see, Corlan Engineering is a BIM consultant for 4D 5D simulation. BIM projects have a lot of consultants or companies collaborating within for different scope of works, and to manage them we have this feature where you can define the scope of work for each company and roles. Also, you can tag companies against the softwares and versions they're using, and you can also have the BIM uses company design, right? For if they have the BIM uses defined here, anyone from the team can come, have a look at the scoper overview, and can have information about the company BIM uses, the roles, the responsibility, and the native softwares they are working on with the versions. So if there are changes anytime, like the challenges we saw, that there are updates and there are miscommunications, this being a cloud based platform, there would be just one place of truth, and it is updated and notified to the members of the team. Project members of the team are all, when added to planBIM, they can be defined through their roles in the project for their roles and responsibilities further. So each member from the company or different companies would have roles defined within the project. Lastly, responsibility matrix is seen. This is a smart card here where the information is taken from the scoper module properties that you provide inside of LOD matrix or model progression matrix. This gives you a brief introduction, I would say, where you can see which companies are playing a role or in modeling or the VDC, virtual design construction project, at what phase of the project and against the disciplines. Talking of phases of the project phases are construction, preliminary design, detailed design, and as built. So these are the four phases of the projects within planBIM. You can add certain more phases of the project. Looking at these four phases, we can see that each and every activity is done at different phases of the project, which means each company will play a different role within the project in at different phases. Some parts are done from the first phase to the last phase, whereas some processes come into existence only for a specific phase of construction. This is an example how activities go along with the phases of the project. Once you have filled in all the information and selected, you can see when you click the scoper overview, you will have the quick links module here with the general settings that you have defined for either Omni class, LOD setting, and units. You can also define scopes and roles for companies against companies. The options are already provided within planBIM. You can also add or request us to add some. Here you will have a transparency within the project and scope of works classified within different companies. For softwares, this is how you select softwares within planBIM and provide the versions being used, the companies working on the software, and the BIM users they are using this authoring software for. And lastly but not the least, the project member roles can also be added for hierarchy or the person to reach for any requirements within the project. And this is the responsibility matrix which come with regards to phases of the project, and companies can be seen who are responsible for different discipline works at different pages of the project in BIM or for construction sequencings. So After seeing all the features of Scoper overview module, we will see how it will help in scope management. planBIM Scoper overview helps in defining scope for every stakeholder of the project, every company with their BIM users. You can also define scope of work for each individual for their roles and responsibilities in the project. You can also define LODs using a different interface for generic and omni-class classifications. Everyone, as planBIM is a cloud-based app, each information provided within planBIM is updated to all the team members then and there, and the team who are working on the same project will have access to the latest information without any hindrance. All the stakeholders will get notifications of any latest updates or revisions on scopes, and all the users or all the stakeholders, the team members, company working on the project are now on the same page, and there is the communication gap has been reduced, and everyone has a fair idea of scope of work, how it is managed on different phase of projects as well. The softwares and versioning information is stored against BIM users and companies as well. So you can know what other companies are working on, the other software they are using, and can work out the interoperability between the softwares. planBIM app has been developed by Texture. Texture is a global consulting BIM consulting companies which has a global presence, and we are in this industry since 7 years. The verticals of Texture services start from virtual design construction to BIM construction management, BIM for facility management, and technology consulting and software development. And Texture has worked on all segments of constructions. The technology integrations by AEC Industry that are being utilized within our company are here. We are working on asset management, blockchain, LIDAR, lean construction, ERP, VR, and collaborating or integrating softwares like Autodesk Forge, BIM 360, doing automations using Dynamo, and our software development team expertises in Flutter, Google Cloud, etc. Now, you understand, us being a BIM company, we saw all these shortcomings within the project, and that is how planBIM came into existence. Now we will have a look at the questions asked by you during the sessions and answer them. So I will just have a look at a question. If planBIM is helpful in site management. Yes, planBIM is helpful in site management. The topics we covered were for scoper, for defining of scope, having the whole team at the same place. So all the site managers, the BIM collaborating team, the architects, everyone is on one platform. And as planBIM app is available on phones, desktop apps, and within BIM authoring software, that is Revit. So everyone is on the same all the information is on the same platform, no matter if they are working on BIM or not working on BIM, but the information set inside the project can be used here. For site management, we have other modules which are very much relevant for site management, document management, and managing the submissions and exchange of BIM files. Where is it possible to include places such as floors in planBIM? planBIM has categorization for two sets. One is generic, one is omni-class. In generic, we do have floors within architectural architectural classification and structural classification, and there are subcategories to floors as well. So you can include LODs related to floor against discipline, or else for omni-class we have categorization as mentioned for table number 21, where you can see different types of floors and select the LOD against omni-class classification for the element. How is planBIM different from BIM 360? Okay, so planBIM is a cloud-based app which you would think that is similar to BIM 360. BIM 360 is only used to collaborate while auditing or modeling certain BIM projects, BIM 3D projects, and also for issue tracking. planBIM helps in managing starting of the project, managing scope, having the whole team, even if they are not relevant to BIM industry, to the cloud, and then setting up all the documents related to BIM and construction, managing files. And it is not just only for the BIM procedures, but for the project life cycles, or it would say from the starting of the project till the as built phase or the FM, O&M phases of the project. Would it be possible to show in program these possibility of previous questions in the air? Sorry, I did not get your question. Maybe you can describe it a bit. Do you have experience in industrial project, mining, oil, etc.? This is because we are very different from infrastructure or architecture projects. For mining and oil, we have an experience of working with oil and gas plants, mining plants. So, considering we also have a different set of discipline within planBIM to define LODs for such requirements. Also for OmniClass, when OmniClass is concerned, they have all the elements or all the even demolition parts related to mining within planBIM. Until I answer, you ask me more questions. What is the bandwidth required to use planBIM seamlessly? I mean the minimum internet speed. So when you are using planBIM on cloud, it does not require 100 Mbps, but yes, to quickly use it, you would need a good internet connection, especially if you're using the Revit plugin. You would have a seamless internet connection in place as it connects to cloud, and for a seamless coordination you will need a good internet speed, or else it would be safe but at a later stage and it would take more time to load in that case. For now I am starting polls, so you would see polls on your screen. You can answer them. So most people have answered that the importance of scope management and BIM processes is almost 5-star, which means it is very vital or important. So these are the results. Here's another question. Do let us know the any questions. If you have any more questions, we are here to answer all your queries. And great, 100% people, the 100% attendees thinks that collaboration could reduce communication gaps between the teams. I would say especially during the pandemic, where we are all working from home and different location, it becomes very important in this series. Can you, the planBIM YouTube channel has a few videos. Yes, planBIM YouTube channel has a few videos, but in the app, if you want to access all our webinar videos, if you go to our website, you will have a section of webinar where you can see all our past webinars within the web and have the access to it. And for knowledge series, we will be providing the recordings of webinar by the end of the series to everyone who has registered for the webinar. Even if you are unable to attend any webinars in future, feel free to register so that you will be receiving the recordings through mails. Is there a provision of translation into Portuguese? I'm sorry, we are not looking forward. I mean, up till now, we do not have this integration. But for translation, we are still looking forward to multiple languages translations. But when it is there, we will surely notify you. And there's a question, what is the storage space provided for by the planBIM for the users in case of docs management and multiple projects? So you can have a look at the pricing of planBIM, which provides you different access to different pricing that we provide. So we have different sets of plans that you can subscribe to, and each has a certain limit. The best plan you can apply is for a pro plan, and you can have unlimited projects and viewers. And the last plan gives you a 200 GB storage, where we start from the minimum plan, which is the light plan, provides you a 10 GB storage. That, yeah, hope that answers your question. Yes. Okay, great. So I have answered most of the questions. You will be receiving, if any question is unanswered, in your mails. Thank you so much for attending the webinar. We shall keep you updated with the further other webinars coming in this series. And have a great day. Thank you.